morning, everybody. Welcome to So Many Whatnots. I'm Willow, and this is the Farmer's Wife 1930 Sampler Quilt Series. Today, it is freezing cold in Pennsylvania, so I am more than happy to sit here and work on some of these blocks today and record them. Today, we're going to be making number 14, Betty. And I have my fabrics picked out. I'm doing it a little different than the book. So let me show you the book first. Okay. I have my little notes here of what I'm doing. Okay, so this is the block we're making. Let me see if I can get that super close for you guys. Okay. All right, so what I'm doing here is kind of flip-flopping the colors. So my solid yellow will be this solid orange, and that's just a Bella Solid. And then my flower print, I should have said orange flower print, that's going to be this yellow flower print in the middle. And then my yellow flower print is going to be these two solid yellow triangles. So my colors are going to look a little different than the book, so I really have to be careful to follow my own directions that I wrote, which hopefully I don't completely mess that up, but I have in the past cut the wrong ones and had to start over. So let's start tracing. Let me move all my stuff here. We'll need that. Okay, let's put that up there. It's a Tuesday when I'm recording this, but it feels like a Monday because my kids didn't have school on Monday. And so if I'm a little off today, it's because it feels like a Monday. Okay, so I want to start, you know what? I want to start with the two corner triangles just to make sure I'm cutting the right stuff. I'm going to cut these out of order than I would like normally cut them. So let's see, this is going to be 14C. And I'm also thinking I might trace everything. No, I'm going to trace and then cut. Okay. Sorry, I'm... Like I said, feels like a Monday. Okay, so out of the print that you're going to use for the two 14C corner triangles, and there's only two, and in the book it is a solid yellow, we're going to trace and cut two of the 14C. And so let's cut those quick. Okay, we have two of those. And this, both of these fabrics on the computer screen look very lemony, but they're actually like a deeper, like a mustardy color. So just keep that in mind. The orange looks really close to what it is, but the yellows are a little off. Okay, so now I want to cut my flower pieces. And this is, it literally looks like almost the same, the fabric. It's clearly not the same fabric, but it is so incredibly close. So, the fabric that looks like this, but is yellow, that's what we're cutting next. And we are going to cut two, well, let me just lay this out real quick. Okay. We're going to cut two of 14C. Oh, my computer is dinging, making noises. Okay, well, that's just how it is. Okay, sorry, I'm lost. Two of 14C. And then four of 14A. So just triangles in this one. All right, let's get those traced and cut. And I want to make a quick note here that my jelly rolls are a little small here for this shape, but it will not make a difference. So what I have to be careful of here, usually I cut this edge off, but I can't here. And it does overhang a little bit here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark all four of my sewing lines right away, just so I don't, you know, forget that my fabric is a little small. So I'm trying to really butt this up against that edge. Okay. And I knew this when I picked the fabric out, that I would have to do this, but I really wanted to use this one and I don't have a bigger piece. And so you can see like the sew line is right here. So it's just a little bit short right here at the top. So that will be fine. Don't worry about that. I'm gonna put this back in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these out before I mark these four, and I'm just going to mark those sewing lines right away. So I don't forget that, you know, it's different than it normally is, because I will forget. So let's just do that quick. Cut these out and, ooh, will that fit this? Oh, look at that, guys. I can get, I'm all about doing everything I can to use up scraps. So like, yeah. All right. And like, I don't know if I'll be sewing on the lines that I'm marking, but I just want to mark them all just to be on the safe side. Because, you know, by the time it comes to sew them together, which is in like 20 minutes, I'll have completely forgotten and I'll be like, what is wrong with my fabric? So we're just going to draw these real quick and then we'll see where they intersect. And that's going to be just more of a See, I know I don't have a 1/4 inch right here. It's close. It's really close, especially where it kind of makes a rounded corner. But, you know, I'll need to match stuff up. So, and this one's going to look weird because I am measuring from the tips of the little squigglies. I forget what they're called. What are those called? All right, so let's just mark this quick. Okay, that makes me feel better. Oh, I'm running out of ink. Let me grab another pen. Okay, I have another pen that's probably also running out of ink. Anyway, so I'm going to mark this one, and then I'm going to cut these 4 of 14A. It is 14A, right? Yeah. So then I'll cut these out. All right, I'll be back. You know what, guys? It's just too close. I'm just gonna put this in my little scrap bin. I have a lot of little scraps down here, so I'm just gonna throw that in there. our last one is our yellow that looks so lemony on screen. I cannot get over that. Oh my goodness. Anyways. Let's see here. I'm gonna start a new corner here, I think. Yeah. Okay, so this one in the book is the solid orange. And so this one will be 14 squares. 14, oh my gosh, sorry. 4 of 14B squares. And then 4 of the A triangles. So we'll do 4 of each of those and cut those out, and then we'll be back to arrange them on our board. guys, let's arrange our pieces. Okay, let's see if I can get this right. First, we're going to take our two corners and put them in the corners. And in the book, this would be a solid yellow, 14C. And then we will take our two inner triangles, the big ones, and let's put those right up next to our other corner triangles because we're going to sew those together. Okay, now let's do, trying to think how I want to do this. Okay, let's do some triangles. In the book, these would be the solid orange, and we'll put one of those in each corner. And then we'll take a print triangle and we're gonna butt those right up next to those. And then let's make two more of those units, but put them away just a hair from the other one so that we know that we are going to be sewing these together and not like mixing them all up. Does that make sense? Okay. Now let's take our squares, which in the book are solid orange, but mine are solid yellow. And we're just going to lay those out. So it looks like you have a square block here, a block here, one here, and one here. And we're gonna set those apart so we know we're not gonna touch these for a little while because we're gonna sew all these half square triangles together first. And so that's exactly what we're gonna do. Guys, this block looks harder than it is, but it's literally just sewing half square triangles and then rectangles. So what I'm going to start with, now I already have the lines drawn on these, if you remember. So I'm going to start with these and I'm going to pin those up. And I'm going to really focus on getting this line right because of how I had to cut my fabric. I want to get these edges lined up just right. Make sure these edges are right because I don't have a point to line up. Normally I would say line up your 90-degree angles and then line up your curves, but I don't have one on this one, so really have to be careful here. And so I'm just gonna pin these. And then I'm gonna pin the other ones also. Okay, so I'm gonna mark, since these are they're all literally the same, these are just smaller, okay? So I'm gonna mark on, I'm just gonna stick with the orange. So I'm gonna mark on the back of the orange, my 1/4 inch. I'm gonna fold it over and I'm gonna pin it. And I'm gonna do that for all 4 of these squares, half square triangles, okay? So I am going to try to get that back open. Oh my goodness, okay. Feels like a Monday, guys. All right, I'm gonna finish pinning this one and then I'm gonna mark and pin these. And then we're just gonna sew straight across the long edge. Okay, so I will be back when I have these marked, pinned, sewed, and pressed open. I'm gonna press them open. All right, see you shortly. Okay, I feel like sticking my pins in my board after so many videos is starting to dull them. So I just grabbed my little, this is for my sewing machine actually. I keep it, my son made this in, let's see. Oh, it doesn't have it just has his initials on it. It's just a little trinket dish that I keep my pin cushion for my sewing machine in. Oh, you know what? We were in Nebraska, so I'm sure it was sometime in elementary or middle school that he made this for me. He's an athlete. My little one is the artist. But I still love it and I have always used it. So I'm gonna try to utilize this more. I don't have fancy pin cushions. I don't spend the time making them. Maybe I will eventually, but I just don't. So, all right. Sorry, I'm a little yappy this morning. So, okay. We have to press these open, and again, I press them open so I don't have to use brain power, because I don't like using brain power if I don't have to. I like to save my brain power for, you know, whatever. Putting the blocks together in the proper order, preferably. So I'm just going to press all these open real quick, and then we'll be back to make our squares. All right. This block really just feels like it's got some like 1960s, 70s vibes going on here. I think it's this orange. I was born in the 80s, so I wasn't there for the 60s and 70s, but you know, watching TV and things in the past, it's really, I'm feeling the vibe. And if you could see this yellow properly, I mean, it is not this lemon at all. It is so different. You would totally get that vibe if you could see this yellow properly. Okay. So, for this one, you can do it one of two ways. You can work top to bottom or side to side. Okay. And so I am going to work side to side. But what I mean is you can put them together like this and then sew them together, or you can put them together like this and then sew them together. So, what I'm going to do is I am going to These do not want to press open well. It's very stretchy fabric. Okay, so I'm going to mark one side of all 4 of these, and then I'm going to sew them together. Okay, and so I'm going to do that for all 4 of these. So I'll show you how I'm going to put them together like this. Okay, so I'm going to mark these, flip and sew. Okay, so I'm going to do those 4 and then I'll be right back. these, I'm going to press them how they want to go. And they want to just go towards the yellow. And that will create less bulk. So that's how we're going to press them. I've been fumbling over my my yarn and all my stuff today. It's a little goofy. All right, so we're almost finished here, providing I put these in the right place, because again, I'm doing it a little different than the book color-wise. I kind of flip the colors. So, yeah, just make sure I get them in the right place before we sew them together. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna sew the corner units, like these squares, together next. And then we'll only have a couple, like 3 more seams after that, I think. Okay, so our next step is to make these squares. So I will draw on one side, flip them, and sew them. And then after we do that for both of these, we'll be ready to put everything together and finish our block. Okay, here we go. Oh, another quick note, when I pin, I'm gonna make sure my seams are nested again. And that just, you know, get those nice and nested in there together, okay? Now, here we go. All right, guys, we are on the home stretch. Yay. Okay, so again, you can do this one side to side or top to bottom. I'm going to go side to side again. So what I'm going to do is I am going to draw a line, and I really like my seams to be, oh, lines are already drawn on this. You know what? We're just going to use this. Normally I would draw on this side just because I want to know exactly where that point is to get real accurate, but I can just flip it over. So, draw your line if you didn't draw it when I did at the beginning. Let's draw our line on one of these sides and then flip them over. Okay, like that. And then we're gonna pin and sew these together. Here we go. lot of bulk right here, so I'm going to press these this way. It kind of gives me a little bulk there too, though. Yeah, but I think I'm still gonna just press them that way, and I'm just gonna have to deal with that bulk right there. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So you can press the seam open if you want, but I'm gonna press it towards the print. And then hopefully that'll flatten out. Yeah, that'll flatten out a little when we hit it with the iron, which I do not do on video because it just takes a long time. So when you press with your iron, you just press down like that. You know, you don't go back and forth. You press. So just get that pressed real well. It'll be the well, I lost it now. Yeah. However it is, that corner right there. This one right here. Alrighty. So we have one seam left. That's exciting. This one, let's see. I'm at 119 on the video so far. So about an hour and a half on this one. If I yapped a little less, it would have taken less time. Okay, so draw on either one of these, flip it, and sew it. All right, let's get this one finished. Okay, doing that final seam is always so much fun, but then it's like, oh, did I get it right? Did I get it right? Okay, so before we look, let's press this seam open because that's what we do. Oh goodness, this one's so, like, I can already tell it's super cute, and I think I did okay with the colors. I didn't have any solid orange, and that's why I flipped them around. But I did order some, I think it's like American Jane pin dots. That should be here soon. So maybe I can find, some more solid colors than what I already have for the Bella Solids. So we'll see how those work out. And when those come in, I will share those on a Monday quilting vlog. So probably, oh, my phone is, I'm recording on my phone, so I can't look at the calendar on there. Okay, so January 26th or February 2nd is when I'll share those. All right. First moment of truth. Oh goodness, we got those really good. Oh, it's always happy to see that we get the points lined up well. Actually, those are perfect. Yeah, those are really good. Those are actually better than the side ones. Oh, okay. Second moment of truth. Let's check out the size. I feel like this one is, nope. I thought it was going to be a little too big. It'll need trimmed down just a hair because it is just over 6.5. And these should all be 6.5. And that's right at 6.5. So when that's pressed, that will be perfect. So it'll just need a little tiny trim up. And I believe I have a 6.5-inch square coming. So that'll be really nice to trim these at the end. So, okay, here is the not lemony, lemon looking number 14 Betty. And yeah, that's it, guys. This one was so fun to make. They're all so fun to make. So we'll see you for the next one. Okay, bye.